Like, I did some independent films with Master P. A lot of those movies did really well.
I'm ambitious, I'm a hustler. I have my own lane.
That's the thing about comedy. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're funny that day.
What up? Yeah, welcome to the program. Welcome back to the world, man. We made it. Hump day or something to that effect. Welcome to the program. It's Let's Go Live with Lamont King. My name is Lamont King, and we are now officially live. Let's go. Yes. See how I did that? I said yes. It was so easy, too, unrehearsed. I was like, yes. I ain't be like, yes. No, so you too can adjust the way you do. Silly shit. All right, shout out to the Peanut Gallery. I see you. Everybody joining the show. This is what we do each and every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. East Coast time. Shout out to everybody watching on the West Coast and worldwide. Thumbs up on the chat if you're watching in the Humor Mill Mag, Humor Mill TV app. On the Roku, the Fire Stick, it's a big situation. It's a good deal. Thumbs up in the chat. You watching Facebook or YouTube. Appreciate you. Shout out to John Watson from All Fun and Games on Friday. And our executive producer, Mr. Clarkson. I see you. TJ, what up? Drunken Fruit, what up? As always, we are broadcasting live from the Drunken Fruit Studios, newly remodeled. It's a big situation. And yes, we are 100% funded by viewers like you. So in case you want to get in on the get-ins, here's our Cash App. You'll see it at some certain points throughout the show. And feel free. $ Lamont King 06. It handles all the production costs and things of that nature. And, of course, the Patreon, all our content. You can find it all in one place. Subscribe for a low monthly fee. You get full episodes and exclusive clips. I told y'all a few shows ago, we're no longer putting whole shows on YouTube. Whole shows can only be found in the Patreon. So it's a good thing. We're growing. Speaking of growing, YouTube sent me an email this evening, alerting me that I was getting close to 1,000. And they would it was teasing me. It was like, when you get to 1,000, shit kick off. That's basically what they said in the email. And I was like, well, what shit kicks off? And they was like, don't worry about it. Just get your 1,000. So I'm at like 976. So I need 24 more subscribers. And then I can do different things with my channel. I don't know fully yet what I can do, but I know it'll be something different than what I could do now with less restrictions as a creator, as a YouTube creator. That's the goal. To continually bring you dynamic programming that you can't see nowhere else with the help of all these platforms that aren't owned by anybody that looks like me. All right, let's get to it. How's your day? Everything good? Everything cool in where you at? Good to know. A couple things, man, this week that do your Googles. There's a lot going on. You can get all the salacious, titillating, gossipy stuff from those other sites. But I do want to touch on a couple things that really jumped out this week. So, long story short, Joe Budden has one of the most powerful. All right, let's back up. Joe Budden, formerly rapper, retired rapper, one of the first hip hop artists to really dominate the blog space, vlog and blog. He's they call him the father of the internet. He didn't invent it, of course, but he's one of the first. Really, everything that you're doing now online, he was doing maybe 15, 12, 15 years ago. So anyway, he got a extremely wildly popular podcast that does numbers. And for the last year or so, year and a half, he has been exclusively available on YouTube. You get the replays, but the live version of the podcast, similar to how this show is done, was available on Spotify. That deal fell through. He didn't get the numbers that he wanted. They negotiated for months. He walked away on some, pull up my bootstraps. I'm worth more than this. I know my value. Like clockwork. This happened this week. Like clockwork. People throwing darts. One of those people was Charlamagne the God. Charlamagne expressed his dismay. Why would you walk away? This situation, they're trying to set us up for to be in position to, call our own shots and blah, blah, blah. And Joe was like, no, that's not what it was. I'm still not an owner. I'm not going to bring numbers to the table, not command the financial numbers that I'm looking for, and you just use my show and just take my content. So he kind of clapped back at Charlamagne. Not really clapped back because it wasn't malicious. But during the course of that conversation, that he did a whole podcast on his response to Charlamagne. He pretty much outed the corporate demons that are Spotify and how they tried to play him and how manipulative they are and how evil they were to him and from his vantage point. And like clockwork, smear campaign in 3, 2, 1. All types of dirt came out about Joe Budden. This resurfaced dirt that he had put out already. His domestic violence accusations. And the number one thing that came out, it was a trending topic yesterday. So unfortunate. I didn't even want to touch it yesterday. He had told a story a long time ago about him manually relieving his dog. Let that sink in. I'm trying to say, appropriate. Manually relieving, providing manual relief for his dog. The internet went nuts. And then yesterday it resurfaced with some additional details. And it just really made him look bad. And I'm like, wow, you really cannot go after these big corporate monsters, man. You can't call them out. You can't expose them. Because it'll take them 20 seconds to pull all your dirt out. Unfortunate situation. I'm a fan of Joe Budden. I'm rooting for Joe. Joe versus the machine. I don't know, man. That's kind of tricky. Even though it was a story that he had told about himself, hearing it come out again now is like, oh no, Joe. And then on the same day, earlier in the day, there's another popular podcast. There's I ain't even gonna say the name, but it's real raunchy, and they have real raunchy guests, mostly white groupies, and some other groupies telling stories about their industry escapades. So the clip that circulated yesterday was this one girl telling about her experiences with Odell Beckham Jr., the NFL player. Long story short, without getting too graphic, do your Googles. She said, apparently he flew her out. She got flued out for her because he flew her out for her to go number 2 on Cuz. For her to defecate on him because that was his thing. He was into it. So much so that he gave her rules and restrictions, parameters. Don't take a shower for 24 hours. Make sure you come fully loaded. He put on the plane. It was like, when you come here, that's how we getting busy. What? Odell Beckham Jr. I see, and oh man, when I tell you the jokes were flying yesterday, they was like he went from the number 1 receiver to the number 2 receiver. Oh man, that's why he played for the Cleveland Browns. Yesterday was too much. It was a lot. It was a lot. I don't even know yeah. So the first thing I thought of was Biggie, the Biggie song, right? When he's telling the story, it's an interlude. When he's telling the story about how the chick he was dealing with at the time wanted him to go on her. And so everybody was like, nah, you ain't do it, did you? And he was like, yeah, I did it. This is a comedy skit. And he said, so after I shits on the bitch. You know what I'm saying? But it made me think of that. But then I was like, no, this is different. This is not the same. This is not the same. He's flying her in he's flying her in for her to go on him. And she said that's his thing. That's what he likes. Oh man. How? Why is the question. Granted, it ain't my business. Everybody's into what they into. But good grief. Have you gotten that much where that's the gateway? What's the gateway to that? Because whatever the gateway is to that, I want to identify and stop just short of that shit. I don't want to, like, with the slippery slope, tell me where the hill starts to turn. Because that's what I need. It's unbelievable. All right. Too much. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save the last story because it's pretty much national news, and if you haven't heard about it all day about your president, some earth shattering. I feel like earth shattering is an overstatement because something every day comes out that shocks you, but we've been shocked so much that we're no longer shocked. So there was some revelations that can be found in Bob Woodward's new book, alleging that the president downplayed the pandemic back in March. So I want to play that clip and kind of see where y'all at with it. But right about now, my guest is here. So let me see. Let me check in the peanut gallery, make sure I ain't missing nothing. John Watson said, "You gonna stop shitting on Odell?" Hey man, that's what he like apparently. All right. Coming to the program. Let's go live. Please welcome good buddy of mine, man, former high school classmate. He's a award-winning, nationally known, world-renowned medical professional. I'll let him explain what he actually does. Please welcome to the program, Dr. Damon.
What's up, bro?
What's up with you? How you feel?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Okay, I want to make sure your sound and everything, you got all your G's and everything. Your G's is right.
I think I'm all good. You can hear me? You got me?
Yeah, a little feedback, but it might go away. A little delay. You got some headphones?
I can.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
All right, 1 second.
Yeah, we good. We'll stand by. I'll take you out. Yeah, it's my man right here. So, Bob Woodward has tapes and audio. It's all over the internet, but I want to play a clip so we see how absolutely ridiculous Trump is at this moment. Let's see with Dr. Damon. All right, you back? Oh, that's better. Much better.
That's better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're just gonna have a conversation, man, because I want to bring you on because I was listening to some stories on the radio from people inside of hospitals and facilities or whatever, and I had recently seen one of your posts, and I was like, you always have something interesting to to say just about the things that happen at your job and all of that, and just everything that's going on in the world. First of all, introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell us what you do and how long it took you to get there.
All right. So my name is Damon Davis. I am a urologist, which is a surgical specialty dealing with the genital urinary tract, so kidneys, bladders, prostate, things like that. I recently relocated back to Maryland after 20 years in Michigan. I went college for 4 years, 4 years of medical school in Michigan, and then I did 6 years of residency training after that. and then I worked. I worked there for like for I don't even know. You know, you get old and stuff starts running together. It's just a long time. I left Maryland when I was 18, and I came back when I was 45, 44. So it's been a long road.
So when you left, did you have any idea that was the road that it was going to be?
I thought I was gonna go. I thought I was gonna go to college and then come back, and I always kind of knew I was gonna go to medical school. So I thought I was gonna go to medical school. That's a good story there. I thought I was gonna go to medical school in Maryland, and then live and work my whole life in PG County. I mean, that's sometimes what you think when you're a kid. I didn't want to go to California or Hawaii or anything like that. I always thought I was coming back. Maybe, right after college, I thought I'd be back. Yeah.
And then you ended up in Michigan because of med school or because of college?
No, well, they gave me a full scholarship from college to med school, so that did it. That's why I went to med school there, and then I don't know. Is my wife watching this? Can you tell what people are watching? So
yeah.
I went to high school with my wife. Lamont went to high school we all went to high school together. And I got to Michigan for medical school, and my wife was there for graduate school. Just happened to be. I didn't know that.
Okay.
So we reconnected, and then it came time to decide where I was going to go to do my residency training after med school, and I had a choice. When you go into residency training, you make a list, and you rank all the places you want to go. You rank them in order of preference. And all the places rank the people they want, and the computer matches those up. So you can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere you didn't rank, and you can't go anywhere if the people don't want you. It has to be a mutual decision. Yeah, you didn't know that, huh? It's crazy. It's also incredibly unfair and anti-fair market, but that's another conversation. But it's a whole computer algorithm that rank who you want, and then they rank their candidates in order of preference, and they meld those two together, and that's how you end up spending the next 6 years of your life.
That could be this conversation. Is that a normal thing? Is that a normal practice?
That's the way residency slots are filled in the U.S. The majority, 90% of them. There's some that are filled outside of that, but that's how most of them are filled.
Nah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Because I recently got caught up during the quarantine, catching up on Grey's Anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched it, right? And I don't know. I grew up, what was the old one that Denzel was on?
That's the first one? St. Elsewhere. That's the jam.
So I was watching St. Elsewhere, and then what came immediately after that? When we was high school, college, was that ER?
Probably ER.
I remember ER. I never got into Grey's Anatomy, but then I started watching. Now I'm like, and I didn't realize it was 18 seasons. So I'm up to 5.
You got some work to do.
Yeah, I'm exhausted already. But 5.
So I'll tell you this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've seen 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. The show that most closely reflects the medical field, and in particular in residency, is Scrubs.
Really?
Scrubs. If you want to know what it's like being in the hospital, you think it's crazy, but there are characters. You know the dude that was the orthopedic surgeon who was really gung-ho, the Todd. His name was the Todd. He was a real meathead. I went. There were multiple Todds in my hospital that I trained in. Scrubs is pretty spot on. Grey's Anatomy, all those other ones, there's not that much sex going on in the hospital, especially not amongst doctors. Doctor, nurse, there's some of that going on, but amongst doctors, it's not nearly as much as, mainly because we're ugly people. So,
well, I was about to say it might be sex. It's just not sexy.
Yeah, no, it's not the kind you would pay for. Nope.
Yeah, because Grey's Anatomy is very sexy.
Nobody looks like that. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, after 8, 10, 12 years of school,
Yeah, you just
it's a little hard. People look a little hard. What made you choose urology?
I like penises. No.
Wait a
That
minute.
gets that's urology humor. It's urology humor.
I know I had the rim shot that. Oh,
That's urology humor. No, it's a growth field. That's well, I didn't mean that one either. I didn't even mean that one. No, but like men are getting older, men are living longer. I wanted a career where like nobody did what we did. I didn't want people horning in on my territory. Like nobody does what I do. So I wanted something where like I'm looking at the comments. I'm sorry. We don't say pause. We don't say pause anymore. That's homophobic. But no, yeah, men are living longer. I wanted a career that was going to have security, job security. I wanted to operate. I knew that. I wanted to be a surgeon. I didn't want to be stuck in the office all day. But we still do a fair amount of stuff in the office. So, it's kind of like urologists say that. You have to say that when you're going through training. Like, I love the fact that I'm in the office and I go to the OR and it's not, no. The office is the worst part of my job, being in the office.
wow.
It's the funniest, but it's the worst part. Because, like,
Now, when you say office, you mean like doing charts, or are you talking about like actually doing diagnostics?
Physically being in the office, seeing, talking to people, interact. No, but it's like the fun part is the operating, and like the office part is how you have to get there. I enjoy the office. Like, I enjoy the relationship I have with my patients. I enjoy talking to people. But yeah, if I could just operate all day, every day, I think I would probably prefer that.
Now, those things on Grey's Anatomy are exciting. So is that energy the same?
No.
Like, is the feeling that's conveyed when they're, on the verge?
Excitement in the hospital in general and the operating room in particular is a really bad thing. Like, you don't want excitement. Nobody wants excitement. Like, excitement is really bad. Really bad. Incredibly
That's
bad.
an interesting perspective. Because I'm thinking, you're running around stat and everybody's yelling and give me, 3 1/4 blade and all of that. Like, but it doesn't happen like that.
That's
You don't want that
you
environment.
don't want that. It's really frowned upon too. And like people that are that worked up and stuff, you look at them like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you on?
Wow.
Somebody got my penis growth thing. They like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Peanut. Just don't pay no attention. They'll get you. They'll get you roped in.
Yeah.
But just a lot of us are more savvy now as far as medicine is concerned, or at least we think we are, because that it dominates the news. The health care industry dominates the news. Just the knowing what's going on as far as medicine is concerned, that dominates our news cycle. Where were you mentally or on page with, when the Surgeon General came out earlier this year and they started, throwing out this narrative about COVID-19 and how, Black people and people of color were more susceptible to get it. And the more that narrative was pushed, it started coming out that, okay, we're not talking about the physicality of Black people. We're talking about healthcare disparities. When you heard that, what is an immediate takeaway for somebody in the profession?
That's interesting because, like, when I heard that, like, maybe we looked at it differently, but like me and all my doctor friends, like, when we heard that, we immediately took it for the second part that you mentioned, that like, we understand that it's because we live in more crowded living situations sometimes, because we work in jobs that would be considered essential, and so we have to be around people because we tend to take public transportation more, those kind of things. Part of the reason. The other part is that we do have more medical comorbidities. Not the fact that it's like...
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Like hypertension, diabetes. Like the rates of hypertension and diabetes in America is off the charts in general. The rates in the African American community is super off the charts. That's not saying that like there's something inherently wrong with us. And I think, I don't know, maybe the medical community, maybe we understood that because like the idea of medical racism or disparities research. That's a huge field. Health disparities. That's been like a huge part of medicine for the last, it was definitely during, I saw the start of it and the rise of it during my career, which has only been like 13 to 20 years long if you count medical school or whatever. So we saw this whole field like born and then start to flourish, looking at why are there differences in not only like the occurrence of these diseases, the prevalence of these diseases in the community, but why are there differences in the outcomes? Like, why do black men do worse with prostate cancer than white men? And 20 years, we don't have good reasons, we don't have the answers, but we have a lot more. 20 years ago, it used to be like, oh, black men they just get genetically worse prostate cancer.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah, but I feel like that genetic narrative is being pushed now.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree. Yeah, I don't know if mainly because a lot of these conversations are happening in a place where you can't get into nuance, right? You're on the news, you got 5 minutes or 2 minutes to make a story. So you say, hey, black people more likely to have high blood pressure and diabetes. You can't really get into all the reasons why. So it's kind of left floating out there. As black people, it's because they're black, so it's in their genes. That's not true. Right. That's not true at all. But it's because a lot of those discussions are happening in places where you got to speak in sound bites. But those of us in the field, I would hope, although every day there's new evidence of somebody saying, or like not even somebody, but like huge organizations making huge faux pas and saying all kinds of stuff that has been disproved for 20, 30 years. Black people have thicker skin. I actually heard that in the operating room like a week ago, and I had to check the nurse anesthetist who said it. She said, oh, this IV is really tough to get in. It's because her skin is really thin because she's an old white woman and not, an old black man. And I'm like, well, and the thing I learned.
Wait a minute. She said both of those parts.
She said it out loud. Yeah. So the thing I learned now is it's funny because it's such a simple thing, but like anytime you're in a situation and somebody says something like that sets you off, that sets your racism radar off, the first thing I said was, what do you mean by that? That's all I ask now. When people say anything, a bad joke, a bad anything, what do you mean by that? Because
that's a good one.
I really wanted to know, like, do you really think that's true, or are you making a joke, or I didn't understand it. She's like, oh, in my experience, black people tend to have tougher skin. It's harder to put IVs in them than white people. And I'm like, well, that's just categorically false, and it's been proven, like, factually proven to be wrong. And she's like, it has? I'm like, yeah. No. It goes along with the whole narrative that we don't feel pain the same way. I'm like, that's the same. That's from the same tree. And she's like, oh, I never knew that. And so I actually, I left it there because I had a surgery to do. But I pulled her aside afterwards, and I'm like, look, we can talk about this. And the fact of the matter is, you're in a position where you're teaching. She was teaching a student at the time, and I'm like, you're in a position you're teaching someone this. We can't be propagating this stuff. So like, maybe we should sit down with your whole department and get this out in the open. So you still deal with stuff like that every single day.
That's tough.
But
where's she from? You know where she's from?
No, she was a white lady.
Okay.
Nebraska, Iowa.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was just going to take a gamble at Midwest. Yeah,
somewhere white. I don't know. North Dakota.
White.
A Dakota. A Dakota.
I would have one of the Dakotas. I would have
Dakota Fanning. Is that a state? I
would have more so appreciated if she was like, no, they have thick skin. They can take a joke.
She was She was a stand-up comedian. Who knew?
Yeah, right. Oh man, tricky. What are some other wild stuff? Now I know y'all take an oath, do no harm, and y'all got confidentiality and all of that. But I've seen you post some stories, some accounts, and whether we can say that they're fictitious, we can say that they're alleged.
First off, that's not my name on Facebook, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You're right. That's not you. My bad.
Secondly, we don't snitch around here.
Are there any stories that your coworkers have told of some wild, I guess, operating stories or funny experiences you had in med school?
Oh man. Yeah. So again, my current employer is I can't mention them. They're kind of tightly wound. So none of this happened during my current employ.
Okay, all right.
But
They
yeah,
say.
I mean, basically, you got to be more specific because I got stories for days. But no, one shocking one was
Okay.
the guy that cut his own penis off.
Okay, here we go.
And he was a young man who was in some kind of mental health conundrum, and just like the Wu-Tang guy, cut.
Oh yeah, right.
The Sons of Man, not Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Cut his junk off. And one of my trainers, who that wasn't her specialty. I said her. That wasn't their specialty.
Right.
Non-binary. And so she came in. I'm not good at this. Came in the middle of the night and reattached the penis. And there's something called rounds where you come in the morning and you take a look at all the patients that had surgery the day before, take a look at the patients that had something in the hospital. And so I came in the next morning. They had been up all night reattaching this. And I get to this patient's room, and he's got the covers pulled up tight over his head. I mean, up to his face. His eyes are darting around. And I look down at the covers, and there's this red spot right below his waist.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, let me take a look at you. So I pull the covers back. He had detached it again.
Oh.
After they spent all night sewing it back on.
Well, obviously, it wasn't a good job.
I mean, they didn't use super glue, but I mean,
yeah. Oh, geez. Oh,
yeah.
Man,
That's
a little.
That's not a rap.
That's a little tough. And that's not a rap. No, that's unfortunate. Now I saw one recently. I don't know if you're familiar with this story, with a guy had a transplant on his arm. Did you see that one? Where he got it. Something was happening with it. Where they removed it. So
something was happening. It sounds like it.
Yeah, he had a condition that was spreading, and in order, and to stop the spreading, they took it off and then put it on his arm, and then put it on his forearm. And and he's talking about it, just giving him freedom, is a new life, and they're going to put a pump in it and run some wires, some valves, so that he can do everything that he needs to do, but from his arm. Like how realistic is that? And what do you think, from inside the profession, the need would be to do something like that?
I mean, sometimes you put organs places they don't belong to keep blood flow to them. Because you want to keep blood flow. I've never heard of putting a willy there, but as a temporary, I mean, you typically want to reattach it right away. So as a temporary measure, I don't really understand it, but I know. I mean, we make phalluses, penises out of forearms. That's where when there's a gender reassignment surgery, that's where you get the tissue from, forearm flaps.
Oh, okay. Oh, now that's interesting. Now we talking. That's an industry.
That's what got you. That's a forearm.
Yeah, no, I mean that's it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I wouldn't have never known that's where you get the meat for gender reassignment surgery. I would have never known it. So I got a question from the Peanut Gallery. Talking about doctors and holistic health and medicine. And I don't know if you can answer this either, because the last doctor that I spoke with told me that they couldn't answer.
Were you laying on a couch at the time?
No. I was in a emergency room.
Right,
why do doctors shun natural herbs and building the immune system? Why is pushing drugs their first option?
That's interesting, because so my philosophy on my practice, you start doing this, and my first thing is from the oath. First off, do no harm. Like I don't want to do
Right.
anything. I don't want to do anything wrong to somebody. The second one was something one of my trainers told me. Always do the right thing. I think he stole that from somewhere. I don't know where, but
The mayor.
I don't know. Yeah, that would have stuck. That would have stuck with me. And then the third one was like, I don't know. I don't know everything. Like I admit that there's all kinds of things that I don't know. I can't explain. So I go into things like that. I can tell you what has been proven, and I can tell you what we think we know. I can't tell you what I don't know and what hasn't been proven or investigated. And the notion that like herbs can boost your immune system, that can be proven. I don't think it ever has been. I mean, the whole idea of like boosting your immune system, right? That doesn't really make sense.
What
on
you
like
mean?
on like a physiologic level, right? Like your immune
Okay.
system isn't like your mood, right? Your immune system doesn't wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm down." And your immune system one day doesn't feel like, "Yeah, I feel great. I can fight anything off." Like if you are in reasonable health, and even if you aren't in reasonable health, in most cases, your immune system is probably working right at the top of where it can work. Like that's just the way our bodies work. You know, like you never hear anybody be like, strengthen your brain, right?
Sure. Yeah, you do.
How do you strengthen your? I mean, you can like work on memory. You can do games and stuff.
Do Sudoku and take ginkgo biloba,
But
and it'll strengthen your ability
Sudoku,
to stay off drugs. Alcohol.
yeah, I mean those things you can avoid things that harm your brain. You can avoid things that harm your immune system. But it's kind of hard to like the notion of boosting it. To me, I'm just always like, boost it how? Like it's already working, fighting all stuff 24/7, right? Like it's constantly working.
Okay.
And it gets overwhelmed when you're weakened for one reason or another. But if you're, eating a normal diet, I had this argument online with somebody, Facebook, in a running group that I was in. Somebody
Okay.
posted something about, and they mentioned right off the bat, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but this is what you should be doing in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s. And it was all about vitamins. Take this vitamin
Right.
and that vitamin. And I just chimed in. I'm like, it's funny how people mention vitamins like they're a cure-all when they've never been proven to be beneficial, right? Like if you eat a normal diet, if your diet is not missing anything huge, and by missing, I'm gonna be like if you don't eat fruits and vegetables,
Right.
even that's kind of iffy. But if you eat a normal diet, you are getting every vitamin you need.
Right. Okay. I've read that.
Probably
I've read that. If you're eating the right thing.
Even if you're eating the wrong thing, you're probably getting all the vitamins you need in super therapeutic amounts. I mean, if you're eating, I'm not even going to say a good diet. I'm going to say like a normal diet.
Okay.
If you have a banana every now and then and an apple and maybe a vegetable at dinner every night, even if you eat a hamburger and fries, the other meals, you're getting all your vitamins. So we spend $11 billion a year. The vitamin industry is $11 billion.
Okay.
$11 billion on vitamins and supplements when you are likely getting all of those in your food already. And if you aren't getting them, or if you somehow can't get them, then you have a problem that taking more vitamins is not going to overcome. All that being said, I think the general consensus on vitamins is if you're taking it, there's no reason to stop. And if you aren't taking it, there's no reason to start. So
I get, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So if you feel good taking a vitamin every day, fine, take one. It's probably not gonna hurt you. Similarly, if you don't take a vitamin every day, you're probably getting everything you need anyway, so it's not gonna help you.
Well, I think this is an important part of the conversation because we're approaching the fall, the weather's changing, and we were told that, when the weather comes back and flu season comes back, it's going to be doubly bad for COVID-19. Just, part 2. So, but every year we're told, flu shot, which is supposed to prevent flu. Make sure you're eating the right, like you say, eating the right food so that your immune system is up to par. So we get this constant education that you can boost your immune system, that it does ebb and flow. So what is it that you know that we don't, or are they just feeding us hogwash?
So first off, somebody just mentioned something about vitamin D. I'll tell you I got a personal vitamin D story. We'll come
Okay,
back. We'll come
let's
back to
get it.
that. But no, I don't think it's hogwash. I just think that the fact of the matter is, like, people have a feeling or a need to feel like they can control everything. So
Mm,
you feel like you can affect this, right? You
right.
feel like you can affect this, and part of it, I don't know how it is. I've never lived anywhere else in the world for an extended period of time. I think part of it is like an American problem. Like, we
Yeah.
feel like we want to be in control of over stuff. Similarly, we feel like we should be able to place fault to people for stuff. So,
Right.
like, if you get sick, it's because your immune system wasn't good enough because you weren't eating the right stuff. No,
Right.
some people get sick. Like, I get sick once a year. I get one cold a year. It's not
Yeah.
because my immune system is low or diminished. It's because I lived in Michigan. I was indoors with people. We never went outside. People touch surfaces. Your parents tell you, don't put a hat on and wear your coat so you don't catch a cold. That's not why you catch a cold, right? You don't catch a cold because it's cold outside. You catch a cold because you're inside. You're around more people. You're touching objects. These viruses get
Okay.
injected into. That's why you get a cold in the winter. It's not because it's cold. It's not
I
'cause-
always,
and
I
it's
always
not
thought
because
it was
it's
because
not
of
because
cold.
it's your immune system is decreased or
I
taking
always
a hit.
thought I always thought it was because it was cold and because my immune system I needed more ginger, honey, lemon.
Well, people in the Ukraine would be sick all the time, right?
Ah, true story. Not if their immunity has been built up.
Oh, so they got better immunity than you.
Herd immunity. That's the new word that we heard this year. Herd immunity. They said herd immunity was what was going to fight COVID because
Yeah.
everybody's around each other. We build up our own antibodies and it would fight it off. So that's not the case.
Herd immunity is a real thing. It's why
Okay.
vaccines work, including the flu vaccine. And we'll get back to that. But herd immunity is a real thing. I mean, and this is not like new science, right? This is like science that we've learned and been teaching for like 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like my opinion, right? That's the way polio was cured. Like, who with polio? Who you seen in an iron lung lately?
True.
True.
Yeah.
But
Rickets, scurvy. Yeah.
mad people with polio. There used to be mad people with polio.
Right.
Like, it was ill, like kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
seen the iron lung, that huge machine?
Yeah.
Like, do people think that was a joke? That was like a big hoax? All right.
So we see where you stand on vaccines. Where are you standing on these apparent new one that Trump is supposed to roll out on November 2nd?
Yeah, that's tough.
Where are you on that?
That's tough. I mean, to some degree, like, I can understand there's cause for concern because this administration does very little right or by the book or logically. So you have to worry, like, what channels are these things getting approved? At the same time, drug evaluation, research, approval, all that kind of stuff is not like an executive branch thing. There are people that have made their careers and their lives doing this.
Mhm.
Now, some of them, it's because they make a lot of money. That's true. Some drug manufacturers are in it to make a lot of money. But some, especially government entities doing testing and approval and things like that, I don't think that it's like overly naive to say some of these people like see this as their life mission. Like, they're helping. Like, I help people on an individual level. Like, I understand that. My impact is relatively small. It's big to the people I help, but it's relatively small on the scale of things. Like, someone approving a polio vaccine or an HPV vaccine, like, that's changing the lives of millions of people.
Right.
Right? Profit. Some things are profitable. Some things, frankly, aren't that profitable. That we think are profitable. So I do put some trust in people that have a similar, like, moral compass and a similar desire to help people.
if they drop it on November 2nd, are you taking it?
Yes, I probably yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Joe Biden said he would too, so there's some level of confidence that goes with that. All right, real quick, as we make room for Roland Martin, vitamin D. Tell me what's your story on that? Where are you?
So my vitamin D level was super low, like most black people, because vitamin D is harder to get higher levels in dark skinned people, especially in the northern hemisphere where we have limited.
That's a real thing? That's
Yeah.
a real, okay.
Because a lot of the conversion is from the sun hitting your skin, and
Okay.
you know, when the northern hemisphere we get lower levels of sun exposure during the winter, things like that. So my vitamin D level was in the tank, and my last doctor bumped it up, taking like these huge therapeutic doses. Not huge, but like therapeutic doses once a week, and then you get put on a maintenance schedule. And so I just saw my doctor like 2 weeks ago, and my vitamin D level was like, I think the scale is something from like 0 to 35, and I was like at 29 or 30 or something. And he was like, "Man, that's really good." He's like, "Most of us don't." And my new doctor is an African American. My old doctor was Pakistani. And he's like, "Man, it's really good. Most of us don't get vitamin D levels up this high." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you know, I did the bumping it up thing, and then I did the daily." And he's like, "Oh, you're still on the daily?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, you want to stop that. Like, long term, I don't like what it does to the kidneys. You end up getting a lot of calcium deposits in your kidney." And you know, I was like, "That's news to me." Like every primary care I've had have been like, you know, "Yeah, you know, you need your calcium, get your calcium up." And he's like, "Yeah, but we need naturally lower levels of calcium. We probably don't need the same amount as, you know, the standard isn't by race. The standard, they just put one number." And so, you know, that's an interesting issue of cultural, you know, like cultural competency and like, I've never had, I mean, I'm not the most learned on general medicine stuff because I don't do much of it, but I like to read, and I study on the latest, so I'm fairly up to speed, high blood pressure, diabetes, that kind of stuff, but I had never heard that before.
Wow.
But a black doctor who does it every day, who takes care of black patients, he said, "No, you know, look, in my perspective, from what I see with my patients that I've taken care of for 20 or 30 years, they're building up dangerously high levels of calcium in their kidney through supplementation. So I want you to back off and work harder on getting your sun exposure, and maybe take your vitamin D, you know, 3 or 4 days a week instead of every day, cutting that back to eventually, you know, like maybe like once a week,
Right.
and see if you can't keep that level up in a reasonable level." So, you know, that was an interesting conversation that I had never had before, and I was like appreciative of having someone that you know I know knows our people tell me that.
Well, that's good, man. Good. We'll end it right there, man. Speaking of appreciative, I appreciate you taking some time out to come and
Bro, this is like a dream come true. I have literally dreamed about this. No.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Now, hopefully you come back, man. We'll shoot the shit, and you know, anytime Jerome Adams fixes his face to say something ridiculous on TV as a Surgeon General, because he's neither surgeon nor general.
Actually, a nice guy though.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna come to you, and we get the real Dr. Damon, ladies and gentlemen.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Tell the fam I said what's up.
Will do.
All right, I'll holler. Dr. Damon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just say Dr. Damon. So I don't need you tracking him down to find out where he work at. He said that. Nah, man, we just chewing the fat. We having a conversation, and you know, don't hold us to nothing. Do your own Googles. Do your Googles. All right, man. Moving on. We almost to the end of the show. Moving on. This is what I wanted to talk about at the beginning. So let me play this clip before we bounce out of here. Hold on. Yeah. So this is today. This is today's news. In case you've been under a rock. This is what was filling the headlines. You're gonna see it on everybody. Don Lemon, Rachel Maddow, Chris Cuomo, whoever you watch. This is what you're gonna get. All right. So Bob Woodward is putting out a book, and he's releasing audio tapes. And in the audio tapes is your man, is your president, saying that he was deliberately playing down the pandemic. Deliberately playing down the pandemic. This is from March. All right, let's take a watch. Let's watch together. All right, here we go.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob, because today and yesterday some startling facts came out. It's not just older
Yeah, exactly.
young people, to plenty of young people.
So
What's going on in
give me a moment of talking to somebody going through this with Fauci or somebody who kind of it caused a pivot in your mind, because it's clear just from what's on the public record that you went through a pivot on this to, oh my God, the gravity is almost inexplicable and unexplainable.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
Sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes.
Because I don't want to create a panic. Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob, because today and yesterday.
Did you hear that?
Startling facts
Let's listen to it again in its entirety.
Yeah, exactly.
Young people, to plenty of young.
3 people removed easily. Mine is, I have like 1 person removed. I have like 10 1-person removed that I know. Hey man, this blood is on your hands, man. And like unbelievable. Every day. I said this 2 weeks ago. Every day is something more and more shocking that just doesn't shock us. But like, I don't understand if out of his own mouth, like he was impeached and then the articles never went forward. And I call this him peach because, you know, him orange, him peach. Man, out of his own mouth. Like that's almost like a murder confession. No, why isn't it like a murder confession? How isn't this immediate grounds for dismissal? Like Nixon got caught with the tapes. No, wait a minute, it's the same thing. Nixon got caught with the tapes, talking on tape about what he planned to do at the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee at the Watergate Hotel. It was him on tape. This is what we need to do. This is what I want y'all to do. This is how it's going to go down. History, you can read in the book. This is how it went. I am not a crook. And he left. Like it was immediate grounds for dismissal. How is this not the same? Like what is really going on? Like we are in a parallel motherfucking universe. How is this not immediately grounds for arrest even? Am I missing something? Oh, they froze it up. Oh, y'all ain't hear it the second time. Oh, the G's. Where the G's? You ain't hear the G's? Oh, y'all ain't hear it the second time. Oh, man, they ain't want me to play it. You're right. Oh, man, do your Googles. Find it on your own. It's just, I don't even have the words, man. I ain't even gonna get mad. I'm not gonna get emotional. I just can't believe how this would not be an admission. First of all, Bob Woodard, 2 things. Salute to you for having the bravery for putting these clips out there. But also, fuck you, Bob Woodard. You had this since March. And now when all these people seeing the wheels fall off, Michael Cohen, everybody else, seeing the wheels fall off, now you jumping out there and being like, nah, I wasn't with the shits. Yeah, you was. I'm glad you taped it. I wish you well, Bob Woodard. I wish you well. Remember the last time you heard somebody say that? I wish you well. I hope that you stay safe. But you ain't shit either. Because you were sitting on this since March. They said at the time that this interview took place, there were 199 fatalities in America. Now you want to put out a book and put this audio out? Everybody's culpable, man. Good gracious. But yeah, I can't wait to hear Don Lemon and Cuomo and all of that tonight, especially Rachel Maddow. And then even the British dude at night, Lawrence O'Donnell, I think his name is. Anyway, so there's that, man. Unbelievable. I don't understand. And like I said, man, people that continue to ride, like it's blood on y'all hands, man. All you people that thought, well, I was voting my interest because I have a business. Even those fake ass black people that they be parading out now that hey man, what y'all talking about? Just get off that plantation, man. They need an agenda for Black America, and I voted for Trump because I run a small business and the tax breaks and all that. All that. Knock it off, man. FOH. This on y'all too, because y'all empower this dude. Continue. I mean, he said I always wanted to downplay it because I didn't want America to panic. The leader of the free world in the middle of a deadly pandemic that's killing your citizens, and you choose to go on the news every night and say, "Don't be alarmed. It's not that big of a deal." How don't that get you removed from? All right, let's keep it moving. I ain't gonna sit here and ask the same goddamn questions over and over again like a Riri. I ain't gonna do it, man. We're gonna get to that part of the show, man, where I'd like to leave on a lesson, and we like to hear a word from an elder in a segment that I like to call Hi Dad.
Happy everyday, brothers and sisters. This is Alpha Papa with today's reflection. Zoom in 2020. Just before this COVID-19 quarantine started, I had just learned how to make a three-way phone call with two of my former co-workers. Then I learned how to do a conference calls with my college alumni association. I felt that I had arrived to the 20th century technology-wise, even though I still have a flip phone. This thing called Zoom came on the scene, and I took an AARP tutorial class on how to use Zoom, which gave me a basic overview. My family started meeting on Zoom once a week, and I started to get comfortable with each session. Last week, my high school had a Zoom meeting with over 100 participants, and I was on a panel for discussion. A former classmate sent me a message to know how to respond. So I started waving at the screen as I did not know anything about the chat room. I learned later that being able to multitask is also a requirement for Zoom after my wife showed me how to use the chat room. Learning is an everyday experience. Peace and blessings to all. Alpha Papa.
All right, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Word from an elder. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in, man. Joining us here in Drunken Fruit Studios. I appreciate y'all.
I don't care if it is a closet. You still looking mad official.
And to everybody who watched the show. And Dr. Damon, appreciate you coming through, big homie. It's my man 50 Grand from way back. And appreciate everybody that tuned in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, man, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 7 Eastern time. Hope to see you then. Roland, we got to put you on standby, man. We ran out of time, and I don't want to get cut off, so we'll just try to squeeze you in another day. Everybody else, man, be safe and enjoy, and see you tomorrow. Lord willing.